have him doing different things.
Ah.
Yeah. So you'll see him as an action figure. You'll see him jumping around, celebrating, and various things. Yeah.
So I'm wearing the DQ Lab mascot colors.
Oh yeah.
You are indeed.
Right.
Top of the mind.
All right. So thank you all for joining in today for another session of the E-Meet Your Design and Fashion School series by DQ Labs. And in this series, you get to interact with the top management of each school, and you keep your options open to private design schools. And the idea for all parents and students here is to, not apply randomly to all various schools, to identify and really sync with a school before applying to that, right? And that's where we are. In case any of the parents and students have missed this previous webinar of ours on private design schools to consider in 2022, you can watch this. This is on our DQ Labs channel. Today, we have Srishti Manipal, Institute of Art, Design and Technology, Bangalore. Srishti Manipal is one of those legacy institutes that has been around for many years, and a fantastic set of people behind Srishti. Today we have a few people here. One is Mr. Ramesh, who is the Dean of the Foundation Program for BDES. We have Mr. Amitabh, who will talk about the B-Walk program. And we also have Samir here. Samir, I'm sure is going to chip in both ways. So
actually, if I may, Dion, Samir and me are the associate deans of the BWalk program, and I mean either one of us could take one horn of the bull each.
Okay.
And sort of hold it. So
awesome. Fantastic. So thanks for taking out the time to come here and meet with our parents and students across DQ Labs. We have people watching on YouTube as well as people here on Zoom. If you're interested at the end of this, if you're interested in applying to DQ Labs, to Srishti, the links, I'm going to share the application form links in the chat box, or it's in the description of the YouTube channel. So you can just directly click on that and directly apply to the school. All right. But this is a good platform for parents to ask their questions, students to ask their questions, and that's what we want, as many questions to be asked, right? Over to the team at Srishti. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you, Dion. Thanks for this opportunity. We keep doing this every year, and it's always great to all three of us here deal with this particular age group, and we always find it very interesting to work with that 18 to 22-year-old. A lot of energy. We get a lot of energy from them. So that's the best part of working in this area. Now, I'll just quickly share a presentation. Presentation per se, we will all make it very quick because all the information which we are going to share on presentation is also there on the website. But our website is complex for the reason, because we have around 40 odd different programs, and I'll come to that later. Basically, because of that, there are a lot of information put there. So for that reason, I'm just going to make a quick presentation. It might be an old presentation, but it just gives you just an overview of what we do. At Srishti Manipal offers undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral program. So that's good to know for all of you that it's not just one undergraduate program. Quickly, Srishti established in 1996, and it's like we are in fact celebrating our 25th year. So it's a 25 years old education within art and design. In fact, if you look back at even now, not even look back, even now, if you look at most of the colleges within this realm, either there are design colleges or there are art colleges. There are hardly any college which offers art and design. There are hardly any college where artists and designers are almost in equal number, or even people from tech background. So that's really the good part of Srishti. This is something that if you go into the West, I'm not saying this is the best, but if you go to West, you look at Royal College of Art, if you look at Parsons, these are the colleges where there is a good representation of art and design to some level of equivalent kind of portion. Whereas in India, if you look at design colleges, there are hardly any art department. But if you look at art colleges, there are hardly any design department. So that's just a brief background of Srishti Manipal. Now we have become Manipal. We were just Srishti Institute of Art and Design Technology, and since last 2 years we have become Manipal. Manipal is not just the affiliating body. We are Srishti Manipal. So we are building a new campus, and next within 6 to 8 months we'll move to a large new campus with all kinds of infrastructure needed for art and design practice. So moving on from there, undergraduate, postgraduate, doctoral. Within undergraduate, the best part is that we offer two different kind of undergraduate program. One is 4-year undergraduate, and another is 3-year undergraduate program. Quickly, before I go to the list of courses, 4-year undergraduate program, the focus is to really cover the breadth of art and design practice. So it starts with 1-year foundation program, which is generic, it's not specific to a particular discipline. In the second and third year, you can opt and choose courses offered by various disciplines. So 40% of your credit or the time you spend, 40% has to come from your major, but other 20% mandatory. We offer you a lot of electives, and other 40% you can opt for courses offered by various other disciplines than your major. Say for example, you have applied join creative education, you mandatory is that you have to do 40% of credit from creative education. But while you are there, other 40% can come from courses offered by business service system design or public space design or visual communication, any of these. So that's a kind of choice-based navigable system that we have in second and third year. And in fourth year, you do one project in semester one, another project in semester two. Semester one project again can be interdisciplinary in the sense you can uh, choose a project offered by other discipline, but in semester two you will do a project offered by a discipline that you have enrolled into. So in a way, that's where it covers the breadth. Whereas your 3-year program is really about focusing on depth. It kind of builds on industry experience. I think Amitabh and Samir will pitch into that in the next slide. So this slide just kind of lists all the BDES and BFA courses. Both are 4-year program. You have business service system design and business is the focus there. Creative applied computation and human centered design both kind of uses coding technology as the medium versus paint and brush and all that. Creative education does look at models of education. Industrial art and design houses so-called product design and textile design. More information on all these will be there, will be available on our website. That's why I'm not kind of explaining it too much. We can take questions later. Information arts and information design and visual communication share something common, which is basically designing communication or designing an information, whether in the form of visual or text, or designing a book, designing logo, branding, even web page, to a larger idea of how do I communicate an identity. So that's the common ground there between information arts and visual communication. There is a slight different focus to these two, which when you go to the website, you will see public space design is another kind of expanded application of interior design. So it's not just in designing interior, but it's designing space. Now, if we move to quickly to Bachelor of Fine Art, you have Contemporary Art Practice, which is classical name for it is Fine Art. Creative Writing, as it says in the name, it's kind of really to people who are interested in reading and writing and using writing as a medium. Digital Media Art, classical name for it would be animation and film. It explains quite well. So now I'll quickly go to 3-year program where Amitabh and Samir have to negotiate.
Ramesh, can you stay here before you move? I just
Yeah,
wanted to
sure,
start our session with a little short, small story. And I tell this to a lot of people who want to understand why Srishti and how Srishti. Now, I've always been interested in drawing, and about 20 years ago, when perhaps me and maybe some of our parents who are listening in, when we were applying, to college, if you wanted to draw and you wanted to make, or if you were interested in visual communication or the visual arts and you wanted to sort of make a career out of it, the options were very limited. The options were fine arts or applied art. And unfortunately, I sort of joined an art school education because there were no other understanding of what someone who wants to draw and paint can do. And sort of those lead to many stereotypes, the Jholawala painter or the arts are not a viable career option and so on and so forth, which are really myths that we hope that we can bust through this communication. Now, if you are interested in image making, if you're interested in the arts, if you're interested in visual communication, if you're interested in design, there are so many things that you can do here. Even as we look at the slide in front of us, there are so many ways that image making as a practice can find its root, where you can understand image making, core image making as a practice. Ramesh just mentioned a few, and I would urge you to go to our website and really explore it from the very selfish need to understand where your creative skills or even your hobbies can take you. Ramesh, can we move to the next slide, please? Which brings us to the BWalk program, which is another mission. So how do you draw and make a livelihood? How do you convert your talent into something that is instantly giving you a foot in the real world? How, as parents, are you looking at the secret 3 alphabets? One shouldn't say it, but ROI. Essentially, it's pretty simple. And the BWalk course is actually, it's embedded in Shrishti's philosophy of learning. It is part of the community of learning that we as faculties and students are all part of, but it's centered around an industry institution liaison, where we talk about placements, and really placements is a very outmoded way of looking at how real world connections are established through institutional frameworks. Because I think a more updated and a more relevant way to look at it is through the concept of linkages, where right from our first year, our students are engaging with the industry. In the second year, they work with the industry for 12 weeks in a real world industry setup. And by the time they're in the third year, they spend 18 weeks working in a real world industry context of their choosing and their choice. So by the time they graduate, they have already sort of bypassed uh, 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 a very introductory position that they would have in the market. They've already understood, and these are not just about hard skills. These are not just technical skills. Even though it is a bachelor of vocation, we really focus on various aspects of skill building, which are not just technical skills like software usage or drawing or so on and so forth, but or building by hand, but it's also life skills. It's also professional skills. And one aspect of the BWalk curriculum specifically that we've really tried to fine tune is the ability to be a learner for life. How do you start learning? How do you keep on learning? How do you learn how to learn, essentially? Because technical contexts are constantly changing. With 5G, we are talking about immersive media, we're talking about AR, we're talking about VR. How does a curriculum be future looking? How do our students who are currently using a very stable set of softwares, how do they expand that? How do we, for example, even in an illustration module, which is the module that I'm very closely associated with, be ready for a post-pandemic industry? How do we respond to the world, to the world that's changing essentially? The industry institution liaison really gives us the robustness to have our ears on the ground and to really to create a workforce that is responding to real world situations. I mean, it's with deep pride that the department that Samir runs, which is IDB, and we are all really coming out of this rabbit hole of online learning where everything was screen based, right? But how does a, a program which is built around studio based learning, making, working with materials, building, respond to the pandemic? Samir, would you
Amitabh,
want to
thanks.
talk? Yeah.
That's a great point to begin with. So, folks, like Amitabh said, the world of the visual, the world of imagery is what he has been building on, and I bring us back to the material world a little bit. The reality of things that have to be in our homes, in our workplaces, in our schools, in our places of entertainment, in our hospitals, interior design and build, and creative manufacturing are the two programs that in the 3-year Bachelor of Vocation are really oriented towards the emerging fields that are, despite all economic ups and downturns, really expanding. People are continuing to reinvent the spaces, the furniture, the products that they require to move on with life. And it's this very same industry linkage that Amitabh spoke about that allows us to have the resilience, and from that resilience, build a certain confidence in our students. The pandemic has meant that the last 2 years have been largely online. Of course, things have moved online, offline, hybrid, but two batches of students have from high school become joined design school, and we have had to find a way that the very foundational skills that allow you to understand how spaces come together, how elements of our furniture or lighting or anything else is built. And like I said, the students' own enthusiasm and interest has allowed us to push those boundaries. And now, as things move back into a space of in-person education, we find that there are certain unique aspects that students who've been online for the last 2 years have. In certain ways, like Amitabh said, software, we have found new ways, students have found new ways to give it a connection to what they would actually be building. Sometimes there are gaps that we have to fill in for sure, but sometimes there are very, very interesting shortcuts that have come about. So it's this inventiveness and resilience that I would say defines the program as we have set it up, and batches of students have stepped up for. It's a very alive program to what industry requires, not just today, but in the years ahead. Like Amitabh said, software might be the hottest software today, but 2 years down the line, the version of it will be almost unrecognizable. We cannot teach you every aspect of that, or say a new material technology that comes about, or say certain surface finishes that might be there in the market. But from the online space where students have looked at their own homes, their own schools, their own bus stops, their own little corner stores, we have at least been able to set up the language by which they can look at and then design more and more advanced sort of design projects that have then taken them further. And our second year apprenticeship and third year capstone have been very, very validating experiences for our students. They go out into the industry not knowing everything, but having a sense of where their own inclinations and skills can give them an opportunity. Are our students able by the second year to at least be in a design firm, be in a creative organization, and understand what the opportunities are and how they need to build their own capacity to achieve those things? And we are very happy and proud to say that by the end of 5 semesters, our students who go into their final capstone project of about 18 weeks are at an entry-level employable standard. This is something that 2 batches now in Bangalore and 3 batches in Pune that we were graduated is a proof of a concept. So the 3-year program, while it is certainly accelerated, while it is certainly very focused, has allowed, is allowing the new generation of students, of which you are also a part, to connect to industry. And Amitabh and myself, Ramesh, and all our colleagues are tuned into that. So that's what I would like to add to it. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Samir. Thank you, Amitabh. So now, I mean, maybe I'll move quickly from here, say, because then we'll get some time for people to ask questions. So what you saw is around, I mean, basically 8 BDES program, courses, 4 Bachelor of Fine Art courses, and 7 Bachelor of Vocation courses. There are 6 here. Creative coding has to be added. So we added creative coding this year. So creative coding and user interface interaction engineering uses coding computation as a tool. As I said earlier, interior design and build, all of you understand, which is like looks at light, material, sound, space, all that. Creative manufacturing really looks at the manufacturing production processes. So you are really looking at a managerial aspect of how do I look and bring this whole process together. Graphic art and design, equivalent to this is visual communication in 4-year program, graphic art and design. Interior design and build, equivalent to that is public space design. Creative manufacturing, equivalent is industrial art and design in a 4-year program. Digital production, digital media production, as I said, classical name is animation, but as you understood, the focus in 3-year program and 4-year program is slightly different. One is industry focused, one does look at how do you kind of use this more like in an exploratory manner. So digital media production and digital media art and film in a 4-year program and digital film here. So basically you have an array of 18 courses to choose from. 12 plus 7, sorry, 12 plus 7, 19 courses to choose from. And in Srishti, you can, when you apply to Srishti Manipal, you can apply to 4 different courses across BDES, BFA, and BWalk. So you might end up saying, okay, I'll choose creative writing there, I'll choose user interface interaction design here, and I'll choose creative education, for example. Creative education in BDES, creative writing in which is in BFA, user interface interaction design here. Or you might say, okay, I'm basically interested in graphic design, visual communication. You can apply to visual communication in a 4-year program, graphic art and design here. So you can, and that's why I even built a parallel to it, in the sense you can apply to both public space design, interior design, design and build, IDB we call it. So you can apply to both. You might get into both, but finally when you pay the fees, you have to choose one. So that's a difficult. Basically, you are postponing the decision making point. So you don't have to make a decision now to say which one to apply. Yes, each application, I think 3,000 gets added to your application fees, but through that, people might end up getting to all 4 courses, whichever they apply, and then they can make a decision on that. So meanwhile, you basically get 2 months to kind of decide, ask around, find out. So the reason we also did that is because this is a critical point in time for all of you to write many entrance tests and your 12th board exam. So you don't have to do this now. After the exam, you get all these exams and entrance tests. You get 2 months to kind of make that decision. Now, I quickly
Ramesh, there's a question.
Sorry.
Should I ask the question now or should I?
Yeah, no, give me 2 minutes just to kind of say, this is the reason I don't know how many of you really looking at master's program. The reason I put master's program here is to say where you are coming to. I mean, that was my first slide to say. Srishti Manipal is not just an undergraduate program, institute which is offering undergraduate program. It offers masters and PhD. If you look at kind of master's program, which also tells you, okay, I'm going to a place where there are different kinds of people doing different kinds of programs. It's almost like 40 different kinds of courses. So then you're basically talking about what is the kind of ecosystem I'm going into. It's not just 5 courses and 5 different kinds of people, 40 different kinds of courses, 40 different pathways. Then all our kind of pathways kind of crisscross and we meet each other, and I get to know more about different kinds of practices within art and design. That's really the value of coming to Srishti. End of the day, it's not about 3-year program, 4-year program, or this or that, but at the end of the day, it's the entire ecosystem that you come into. We do have wellness program where you you do kind of have opportunity to do various kind of activities. We have a tutor system, mentor system in BWalk and BDES, BFA. We have exchange program. All these details are there, but I'm just kind of pointing it out here that that it's built like any other institute in that sense, where there are various other activities and possibilities of exchange program, internship program, and tutor system. All that is there. So now I'm done with the presentation. Now we can.
So there was one question that addressed the entrance portal itself. I think Ananya is having some difficulty making 4 options because she's saying that the application form only allows us to select one in the drop down.
Please write to admissions. It was possible. In fact, I met one applicant today. She had applied to only one, and she has not still submitted because then payment was. It asked all the applicants to make a payment later for some reason. So now in front of me, she could choose 3. So just kind of write to admissions at Srishti Manipal, and someone will get back to you on that.
Okay. Ramesh, Anushka Morana also wants to know that will the batch of 2022-2023, will they start life in the new campus? Will they have hostel facility?
Yes. Well, will they start in the new campus or not? We will be able to let you know in a month or 2. More or less, building is up and they have painted it around that, like any other finishing part of any production, that takes a longer time. And we are hoping that we'll start there in August. But maximum, it might take another month or 2. So I'm sure that by 2023, we will be there. Whether we start in July or August in that campus or not, we will be able to let you know in another month or 2.
Okay. Sanjita PK has a googly question for you, Ramesh.
Googly, okay.
Do we learn all the disciplines in the first year?
I think she's referring to foundation because
I know, but
most of the time engineering does this. So mechanical, civil, bits and pieces of various courses is learned in foundation. Whereas googly for you is that foundation doesn't follow. In 4-year program, foundation program doesn't follow that system. We kind of look at what is the broader idea of art and design practice itself. So that's what we look at, and because of that, you will enjoy it more.
I would also like to tell our viewers here, we are having a fabulous 25-year celebration in the new campus. If you'd like to see our new campus facility, please come at the end of the month. We will share the dates with our friends from DQ Lab. We will also, the dates will be put up on our website. Please come, meet us, see us, our students and our mad bunch of faculty live in action, and get a first-hand sense of who we are. The screen can only give you data. There is another thing. Will there be different criterion cutoff for selection between BVOC and BDes? If one wants to further pursue masters, will they be considered equal? Now, I'll take this one. I think the difference between BVOC and BDes is something that we've already covered, but I'll just say it again. It's fundamentally on the kind of learner you are, and how do you learn, and what is the learning cycle that you would like to choose for yourself? Because it's not, there is no, the only difference is that, and the career graph that you need to chart. If you want to pursue masters, after the 4-year degree, you are open for any masters. After the 3-year degree, you are open for an MA program. You need to do a 1-year bridge or a 1-year work equivalent level 8 RLD exam, and then you are applicable to any BF, any MFA, any MDes anywhere in the world. I hope that answers your question, Vaibhav. Are there any scholarship programs, Ramesh? Are there any scholarship programs?
No, not as of now. We do offer scholarship, but we already have a tie-up with some of the institutes for that scholarship. So
Great.
it's not open to general public in that sense.
Geetika wants to know, do we have any extracurricular activities? Geetika, I'm really sorry, but we would need to have another meeting to cover the range of extracurricular activities we have, because, I don't know, Spanish should be like what? Scuba diving, horse riding, mountaineering. I'm kidding. We don't have scuba diving, mountaineering, horse riding, but we have a tie-up with the Dravid Padukone Academy, where a range of sports and a range of physical activities are actually, it's mandatory for you to have extracurricular activities, and they range from your interests in theater, in spoken word poetry, in writing, in games, in music, and a range of other things. So yes, there is where is the new campus? The new campus is 3.5 kilometers north of where we are right now. Srishti is Yelahanka based, and can we know about campus placements? We tried to soft answer it, but there is no policy of campus placement for both the 4 and 3-year program. However, we introduce you to various aspects of the industry in ways that we've already spoken. In the interest of time, you can contact us directly, write to us at admissions@Srishti, and we'd be happy to answer this. Do we have to apply again for Srishti or appear for the test if we have already applied for UC? Ramesh?
Yeah, Srishti does its own entrance test. If you go to Srishti admission page and there is protocol, it tells you that in UC, if you got a ranking between 1 to 600, then you will be exempted from test 1. We do test 1 and test 2, but you will be exempted from test 1 if you got a rank, if your ranking in UC between 1 to 6. Otherwise, you have to apply to Srishti anyway. That's the answer.
Fantastic. Are there any more questions? Will test 2 happen on 9th-10th April, and will it be online?
Yeah, so it is on 9th and 10th. We already put out the timeline in the admission page. Again, timeline is a link you can go to the admission, and it is going to be online. Yeah.
Great. Ananya, Geetika, Ashima, Shrikari, Nitish, I hope your question has been answered. Where are some of the alumni currently working? You're asking these long form questions, Madhuri. They're working in across sectors and across segments. In fact, I don't know, Ramesh, how would you, I'm sure you can answer this question very briefly, because I have a who's who directory in my head.
You know, I mean, I end up being philosophical here. So that's why I was trying to restrain myself. You know, one of the problem is that when we talk about education, finally everything directs to end of the day, where do I work? How much money I get? I think we need to, it is important. I'm not saying that's not important, but I think if we miss the bus which talks about learning, then we are, I think somewhere we will really miss that bus forever. So I'll make one quick presentation for just kind of, I think there will be many questions around this. What do we do at Srishti? You can see my screen, right, Amitabh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe if you can put it on the presentation mode, that would be good. Yeah.
great. So Srishti itself is, as I said, 1996, 25 years. It basically learned itself to endure, right? It's an endurance. I mean, I'm really talking about pedagogy, curriculum, learning here, in the sense that it kind of make you learn that endurance. Yeah. What is that endurance? It's about being able to adapt to the change because of that 25 years where we changed many things. We were Srishti Institute, which offered diploma, not even degree, for 18 years, where our students got job. They went to places many places where they managed to enroll themselves into masters. There was a question that if you do BWalk, will be able to do masters? I think one or two of our BWalk students are in Royal College of Art, which is one of the well-known College of Art in London. So it all happened, even with the 4 years diploma when Srishti offered, even with the 3 year so-called BWalk, people are getting into places. It has happened. Sometimes it just, there's too many institutes talking about too many certification. This is correct, that's not correct. All that kind of may confuse you. But at the end of the day, learning is about really learning to endure, learning to adapt to change. And the reason I'm telling you this, because as an institute, Srishti being 25-year-old, it has done that. In order to endure, in order to adapt to the change, it has built its own ecology of things. There are people like Sami, there are people like Amitabh, there are many other people who are very different from Amitabh, me, and Sami. There is a person who's interested in Guru Raja. If you go to a people profile in the faculty list, you will see that he's an ecologist, and he cares for sustainability, he cares for environment, he cares for frogs. In fact, Guru Raja is taking bunch of students to Kundapur, to the forest, to kind of really understand the ecosystem, which is they're leaving tomorrow. That's a foundation year students. There are, so when I say it builds ecology through different kinds of practitioners. There are people who appreciate Sufi music. They are doing from 10 years. Shabnam Virmani, if you see again in the people page, she's working with Sufi music, yeah, Kabir Pant and all the other things around that. There are people who are biologists, there are people ecologists, there are people who are from technology background, engineers. So Srishti built that. So what happens when it builds that? That's where when I said our website is complex, because it really make you learn to navigate, and learning is anyway negotiation between you and the institute, between you and the world, and yeah, between you and yourself, between you and your parents, between you and your peers. It's always that. So in order to make that navigate negotiation happen, we made Srishti has become very people centric, right? So there are, as I said, ecologists to mathematicians to philosophers to different kinds of people. What it does to the institute is that it builds a kind of multifaceted space that is really choice based. I'm not talking about choice based curriculum. It is a choice based kind of system. Yeah. So I think when you are really joining a college, this worry about which college does this placement, which again, Amitabh talked about it. You know, you might end up working with Google in a really high position, or even when you have that option, you might say, no, I work with this NGO which is working in rural Maharashtra, which um, basically works with underprivileged kids. So that's basically what you become over 4 years. Makes you either, we don't kind of value just this, either you can become a person who works in Google or wherever, or you might be a person who works with a particular NGO. You feel that that's important for you. So what it does is it's really create a learning environment for you to become what you are. Sorry, long answer for a small.
I think that gives you a very clear sense of where we are grounded. There are no easy answers. There are no quick answers. We are not a fast food culture. You know, it takes time to cook. Right?
And we don't put out Smeed papers.
Yeah.
Because again, it's
sorry, Niharika, we don't put out Smeed papers.
Again, it's connected to the same thing. So how can I practice that? How can I score to really well? Sorry to say that, but it's basically, it's all about whether you really are interested, motivated,
Yeah, but
and whether you can. I mean, we do. Yes, end of the day, we do test people for uh, for the course that you apply for. In general, it's more about admission test one and test two. Test one is a bit more generic. Test two is specific, may not be to the discipline, but specific to the art and design practice itself. So we might give you some context where you read up or you watch a film or you go walk for 10 minutes and come back, and then you maybe talk about that experience, whatever. So that basically will give you a syllabus for test two, and then you work on that. So otherwise we don't really put out, because every time we change and you prepare for one and then we do something else, then it becomes a problem for you also.
Mahesh, does the exchange program abroad still exist? I remember till the pre-COVID times, we had a very robust exchange program with universities abroad, where our students would go. Sometimes faculties would also go. Nitish wants to know whether there are internships program abroad.
We have exchange programs. It's not internship.
Yeah, it's not an internship program.
Yeah. So exchange programs happen. I mean, there are one or two students have done internship because they have had tied up with something, but that the timing of this internship in the 4-year program is only 6 to 8 weeks, and doing it abroad is a problem. In 3-year program, there is a semester long internship. We don't have a tie up, but we have to see if the student brings this to the table and say, okay, I have this proposal, can I do internship here and there? We need to kind of see how that can work. We are open, but at the moment, exchange programs are international, but not the internship.
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of just to put the cherry on the cake, sort of, I think Ramesh spoke about the entrance test. I would urge all applicants to look at the entrance test as an experience, not as a pass-fail sort of a knife that will cut you either this side or that side. It's an experience which we try and put in as much of Srishti values and Srishti atmosphere, really. The environment, it's a the environment is something that we are very keen to communicate to prospective learners who will join our community. And the entrance exam is really a framework that a lot of us who work towards it, that's the sentiment with which we create the entrance. It's not because I know, like, after class 10, after class 12 board exams, there is this entire paranoia with examinations and entrances and stuff. And generally, if you look around, the ecosystem is full of pass or fail and stuff like that. but it is not someone asked about scores and VWalk and VDes and how do you choose them and stuff. You can really look at the entrance as like a sorting hat, like a Hogwarts sorting hat, where you choose. Yeah, thank you, Dion. Thank you,
Sure.
Gayatri.
There's a question on YouTube who's that's from Prakar Goel, who's asking. I wanted to understand the procedure to apply using USEED marks. Now I know this has been addressed earlier, but if you can just clarify for people who some couple of people have
Yeah,
missed
also
asking
there
that
is,
again.
it's connected to another question. Is there any weightage of UC score? Please look at, your, go to admission page, admission protocol for UG. If you look at, it's, if you get 1 to 600 rank within UC, you can choose not to attend our test 1. That's the exemption given if you have UC score. Then we will calculate our percentile, highest percentile, and you see the highest percentile. Then we will allocate a mark for you in the test 1. So you don't have to attend. But if you choose to want to attend SMEET test 1, you can. Even with one within even your ranking, UC ranking is within 1 to 600. That's the choice you make. And now, how? What was your Dion? What was the connected question?
Sorry, the same question related to that. What they want to understand, what was the
Yeah, so there is a section in the application form, so asking whether you have UC'd or SAT ranking. You put that ranking. If you already got, I think UC has announced the result, but they haven't given you ranking. That's what someone told me. So you have to put the ranking, and you have to submit your sheet, rank sheet, to when you submit all the other documents. You have to submit this document also to avail the exemption. If your ranking is 1 to 600, otherwise forget it. You don't need to mention that you've done UC.
I think Niharika is testing us. She's always asking us these googly questions. She asked a tough one earlier as well. And I mean, really, I just want to thank DQ for having such a curious bunch of people who are asking such interesting, fun questions.
Yes.
Can we have
Thanks.
students who are under 18? Ramesh, is the
Niharika,
question.
if you are vaccinated, then you can come. No,
Great.
Dion, really, we had a problem. This year, there were 5 or 6, or no, almost 10 students who were 17. I don't know how they could manage to complete their 12th when they're 17. I mean, there were all these systems earlier where you could join before your 5-year-old, whatever. But then government had this order that students without people who are not vaccinated cannot go to college. Then we had to run, for these 10 students, we had to run online classes for entire 1 semester. Anyway, now there is a vaccine for the age group of 12 to 18. That's fine. But that came only now, not in the beginning of this academic year. So that's why I'm joking. So Niharika, basically, if you are appearing for 12th, you can apply, and then if you complete your 12th, you can come to Srishti.
right? I think
Yes.
there's one of the questions from Bindu Malhotra, who's still asking about the apart from the 1 year difference between BWalk and BDes. All right, is the course otherwise similar? I think you'll have covered this in a lot of
Yes.
detail, but
I think we have.
I've handled this question a lot with parents, and this is something where they need a little more clarity in. So if I can probably elaborate on that, what I tell parents. So the 4-year program is a program which is a little more broader in a sense, which students can really make a career for themselves, find a niche and get into that niche, or specialize in whatever they are interested in within that realm of that stream. Whereas the 3-year program is a very focused program. You come in and there's a structure to that, and you complete
I
with
guess
that
they'll.
specialization, right?
Yeah, no, I think an example would also be helpful. So we are part of the Pune Design Festival. We are one of the title sponsors, and as part of the Pune Design Festival, our requirement was that we needed a web page to be made, like a website to be made. The person who made the website is an alumni of Srishti, but his profession is a furniture designer, and he made the website with full interaction animation and stuff like that, and that's a BDes BFA 4-year student. That's a great example for a BFA, because you have majors and you have minors. BVOC is streamlined. You enter the course like, if you, let's say, you want to be an illustrator or a graphic designer, or an interior designer, or a filmmaker. You enter the course with that idea, and that's all you do. You only work with illustration every day for 3 years. That's the focus that you. But even that is not limiting, because the world of illustration, as we understand, is vast, and career opportunities within graphic design, illustration, user interface are massive. So you do navigate your career path, but your career path is locked. It's streamlined. That's the major difference between, like, I think that's the answer people want to hear, basically. Otherwise, fundamentally, they are Srishti propositions. We have the same blood running through our veins and the same pedagogy that we follow. It is a Srishti bivouac. It's not simply vocational. It is Srishti vocational, and that's what I think, that's the experience that sets us apart.
Yeah, and I guess the course titles talk a lot about that, right? It describes really what is in that program, for the BWOC program. So that itself is great. And I guess if people want to really understand the disciplines that are described, please go through the website in detail, go through the specific courses, and that gives you very good information about what is there. I guess that's probably the best way to go about understanding each program.
Can I answer the last question? Nitish
Sure.
Kumar has asked us, which design principle has a bright future? Nitish, any design principle that you choose will have a bright future, because I believe that you have a bright future. It's basically anything that you pick, Nitish, because I've been following your questions and you have a very interesting pattern of questioning, which I think is exciting. So whatever you touch, Nitish, will turn to gold. So don't worry.
Wow. All right.
Okay.
Okay then.
So I guess there's no more questions, so we can wrap this session up. Thank you so much, Ramesh, Samir, and Amitabh, for coming in here and patiently explaining and answering all the questions. And thank you so much to Seema Vinod for getting this organized from the admissions team. As mentioned earlier, I've shared the links. If you want to apply to Srishti, please click on that link and apply. You will also find it on the DQ Edge listing of Srishti. It's made easy for you to just go there, click on the right website, click on the right link, and you'll go directly to the official Srishti page for your application. Gayatri says your question was missed. Gayatri, could you please type your question again?
If we choose multiple courses for BDes while applying, then how is our specialization decided?
So you say, for example, you apply to even multiple courses. You can apply to multiple courses across BDes, BFA, BWOC. That's what I said earlier, 3-year program, 4-year program. Any undergraduate program, BDes, BFA, BWOC, you can choose 4 courses. It's same even if you choose 4 within BDes. So there are various possibilities, right? You might get into 1, you might be rejected in 3, you might get into 2, rejected in 2, you might get into 3, and you might get into all 4. Now, before you pay the fees, so there is an admission form approval form of all 4 courses if you got into all 4. And then you have to choose which one you're going to join. When you pay the fees before you join, you have to make a choice, one choice, and you join to that course. Yeah, did I answer? Great. Thanks, Dion. And guys, if any of you have any further queries, if it might come to you later also, or if we haven't answered, please mail to admissions email ID, which is on our website. Just mail to us, and then someone will answer your query.
Surely. Thank you all
Alright,
for being here.
thanks.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thanks, Dion, and to all at DQ.
And all the best to everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Have a good evening,
Niharika,
folks.
Akshay,
Bye-bye.
Gayatri, Nitish, all, yeah. Geetika Gupta for your excellent questions. It's been lovely. Big shout out to Mahesh Bhatt as well, who set this up for us, and Seema. Bye-bye.
Thank
Alright,
you.
take
Bye.
care. Bye.